Hey guys, how's it going? MegaLugia here, today bringing you another video, this time a competitive guide based around Metagross. If you're new to this, I have a series on my channel where I go through all the ORS Megas that we have right now, giving them an in-depth guide on their most viable sets and some other sets you may not see run as often, but can catch your opponent off guard and still put in the work. Now if you enjoy what you're watching, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe, that would be dope. And by no means am I the best competitive battler out there, so it's up to you whether you want to take my advice or not. Now having said all that, let's hop into the video. So kicking it off with the basics for Metagross, you are Steel and Psychic typing, which gives you a lot of resistances and a lot of super effective hits. So to start off, you are super effective against Rock, Ice, Fairy, Fighting and Poison, and also you are weak against Dark, Ghost, Fire and Ground. Keep in mind that your Psychic Stab is immune to Dark types, and defensively you are immune to Poison types. Offensively, you are not very effective against Psychic, Steel, Fire, Water and Electric, and defensively you can take hits from Fairy, Steel, Grass, Ice, Rock, Psychic and Dragon. So Metagross has a really good typing, giving you a lot of advantages. Continuing on with the basics, you can take a look at Metagross' stats right here. All your stats except your HP above 100, but you can't do anything about that when Mega Evolving. 145 attack, 150 defense, really good speed tier of 110 to match it with a 110 special defense. You can see why Metagross is such a threat. And of course, when you Mega Evolve, you get the ability Tough Claws, which gives all moves that make contact and 1.3 damage boost, basically a life orb without the recoil. So now for a basic overview of how to run Metagross. We'll get more in depth with the EV spreads and the sets when we get later on in the video. So first off, you're going to want to run with a max attack, max speed, taking full advantage of the threat that is Metagross. Jolly if you want to speed tie with other base 110s and get some outspeeds, or Adamant if you want to get that little bit extra power and pick up some knockouts you might not otherwise. It's really up to you. Also, Tough Claws gives you basically a free life orb for moves that make contact without the recoil, and it has great overall stats as you saw before. You have good bulk, so you can take a hit and set up before dishing out damage, and you do have a good special attack stat of 105, which is nothing to laugh at. You do have a really good move pool, but having said that, you do run into the 4 move slot syndrome a lot with Metagross. Basically, you're not sure which move you want to run because there's such a plethora of options to choose from. It really comes down to the rest of your team, and you might find yourself in that situation where you wish you had one move over another, but that's kind of the catch when it comes to Metagross. So for this first set that you see right here, it's going to be an all-out attacker set, rocking max attack, max speed with a Jolly nature. I prefer Jolly because it does give you those speed ties with other base 110s and guarantees some other outspeeds that you might not with Adamant, for example, like Keldeo. So it's really up to you, but keep things in mind. First move you're going to run is Meteor Mash because it is stab and is a really powerful move and does give you that chance of getting to +1 attack. Second move, Zen Headbutt, obviously because of stab as well. It does have a chance to miss, but also has a chance to flinch. So the third move and the fourth move are really up to you. Like I said, Metagross does have a bit of a 4 move slot syndrome. You're going to want to see with the rest of your team how it makes up and where you're lacking. But the main moves you're going to want to choose from are Ice Punch, Bullet Punch, Hammer Arm, Pursuit, Grass Knot, and Earthquake. Now you see that we run a Jolly nature, so we're obviously losing special attack, but that doesn't matter in the case of Grass Knot because it still is a 2-8 KO on mons like Hippowdon, for example. Ice Punch is for Lando, Garchomp, Gliscor, Bullet Punch for priority, Hammer Arm to pick up Ferrothorns, but it does lower your speed, but you still will outspeed that. Pursuit to get the bulky psychic types that might give you a problem, like the Lottie Twins and Jirachi, for example, and Earthquake to hit mons like Heatran and Jirachi. The next set that you see right here is the Setup X-Wing set. I'm a Star Wars fan if you couldn't tell. Again, you're going to want to run max attack, max speed with a Jolly nature because those outspeeds are so crucial in my opinion. Although you're going to see that we're running Rock Polish, so it's up to you really whether you want Adamant or not. So first move, like I said, is Rock Polish, giving you +2 speed. Metagross at +2 speed is really hard to handle, so if you can get that sweep off, it's a really nice thing to see. Zen Headbutt, obviously, because it stabs, same with Meteor Mash. Next move, you can either run Refresh, Earthquake, Ice Punch, or Grass Knot. Again, I keep mentioning it, I keep hitting the nail over head. Metagross has a really hard time deciding which move you want to run, so make sure to look at the makeup of the rest of your team and seeing where you're lacking. Refresh, for example, if you're going for Rock Polish and they choose to T-Wave you or burn you, now you can refresh and you get rid of that status and there's no way of them stopping you. Earthquake for Heatrans, Jirachi, Ice Punch for the 4x super effective mons, and Grass Knot so you can hit Hippowdon. and miss out on that Rocky Helmet damage, for example. So this final set is going to be called the So Many Moveset. Now, I'll explain to you why that's the name. So you're going to want to run max attack, max speed, jolly nature, standard stuff like I just explained, but you can choose to run max HP depending on the set you're going to run. Now, I do want to stress that none of these sets are set in stone. You can mix them up however you want, and of course, this is the gimmicky portion of the sets. So for the first set, for example, you can choose to run Iron Defense, substitute. So if you want to run on this set with a max HP, max speed set, or max HP, max special defense, that way you're tanking on all sides, and you can use Iron Defense to get your defense up to +2, and now you can run substitute, so physical mons will have a really hard time breaking your sub. Having said that, you can choose to run Power Up Punch as well, so now that you're behind the sub, you can get that +1 attack off and just start wrecking through teams. The second set is going to include Magnet Rise and Icy Wind. What Magnet Rise does is it gets rid of your ground weaknesses, so if you predict your opponent to switch out, for example, this can be a really ideal move. Situations where it might come in handy are if you predict your opponent to switch out and they go into Excadrill. Now Excadrill can no longer touch you because you're above the ground. And Icy Wind is for mons that may outspeed you, like Scarfed Garchomp or Scarfed Gliscor, for example. They are 4 times super effective, and now you know that you're gonna outspeed them. It's also not to forget that you are running a 105 special attack, so that's nothing to laugh at. The third set is, oh god, this one is pretty gimmicky even for me, is Hone Claws, Gravity, Dynamic Punch. Now, you can choose to run Hone Claws and Gravity at the same time, but I would say run one over the other. Hone Claws gets your accuracy and your damage up to, increases that by +1, so your Zen Headbutt will no longer miss, neither will your Meteor Mash, and they are increased damage. Gravity, what Gravity does, it increases the accuracy of all your moves by a good percentage. So Dynamic Punch is 100 base power with 50% accuracy, but now with Gravity you'll be able to hit them and get that guaranteed confusion off on your opponent. I cannot stress how annoying this can be. You can see a lot of rage quits coming in your future if you choose to run Dynamic Punch with Gravity, of course. The fourth set is actually probably the gimmickiest of them all. Curse and Gyro Ball. Now, as you know, Curse is going to lower your speed by 1 stage, but increase your attack and defense up by +1. So you can choose to run a max HP, max Spadef, max attack, whatever it may be, but with a lower speed nature. That way you're going to be as slow as possible, lowering your speed each time and getting your attack and defense up by +1. And since Gyro Ball is stab, you will be doing relatively good amount of damage. You're gonna have to get a bunch of curses off before you start dealing a lot amount of damage, but it is an interesting set to run. I don't recommend it for all plays, of course, but this is gimmicky, so do with it what you will, and take all of these with a grain of salt. They are all just for fun. So now for some quick damage calcs on what you can expect from Mega Metagross. So now with the max attack set, you have a very high chance to OHKO or a guaranteed OHKO on mons like Garchomp, Lando T, Gliscor, Mega T-Tar, Clefable, Mega Venusaur, Mega Altaria, and Starmie. A lot of these are walls on the tier and they're really hard to take down, but it's nice to see that Mega Metagross has a really high chance to OHKO them, if not outright OHKO them. Also, you are able to 2-hit KO mons like Ferrothorn, for example, with your Hammer Arm, Hippowdon with Grass Knot, Skarmory, Rotom Wash, Manaphy, Chansey, yes Chansey, Mandibuzz, Umbreon, and Mega Sableye. A lot of these can actually be guaranteed OHKOs if you have rocks up, so always keep that in mind when pairing Mega Metagross up with a team member. This last set of damage calc shows the power that Mega Metagross has on the defensive side, so you're not OHKO'd by Mega Diancee's Earth Power, Hippowdon's Earthquake, Mega T-Tar's Crunch, Weavile's Knockoff or Night Slash, Dragonite's Earthquake, Gliscor, Raikou, a +3 Manaphy, and Bisharp's Knockoff or Sucker Punch. So that's really good things to keep in mind if you're trying to set up or whatever it may be. So now for some of the checks and counters to Mega Metagross. So Mega Gyarados is obviously the water and dark typing, so it is resistant to your Steel Stab and immune to your Psychic Stab. It's not a good time to be against it. Of course, you can choose to run Earthquake or Thunder Punch, but Mega Gyarados can do a lot of damage back with Crunch. Mega Slowbro for the same thing, resistant to both forms of your stabs. If you do choose to want to run Thunder Punch, it's not like it's going to OHKO it, and it can do a lot of damage to you back with Scald and potentially get that burn. So again, not a good time to be there. Mew is a bulky Psychic type which can give trouble as well. It can Thunder Wave you, it can Will-O-Wisp you, it can stall you out with Heal Bell and Recover Soft Boiled. So again, it's not a hard counter, but it's definitely not an ideal situation to be in. Same with Hippowdon, it can definitely take a hit from you, and if there's already some prior damage on your Mega Metagross, it can hit you back with an Earthquake. Skarmory and Mandibuzz can take a lot of hits from you, and if they choose to run Rocky Helmet, that's a lot of residual damage. Mandibuzz can also run Foul Play, which will do a lot of damage back in return to your Mega Metagross, and Skarmory can Roost, Stall you, and Whirlwind you out. Same with Tangrowth, if it chooses to run a Rocky Helmet, it can Sleep Powder you, switch out, get some Regenerator. Again, not an ideal situation to be in. Same with Bisharp, although it's not going to OHKO you with Sucker Punch. If you do have some prior damage on your Mega Metagross, it can come in as a revenge killer and do a lot of damage with Sucker Punch. Celebi can T-Wave you, it can recover on you, it can also set up a Nasty Ball and then Baton Pass into something that can handle you and doesn't take a lot of damage. So always keep that in mind. A lot of these aren't hard counters, although some of them are, but it's just things to keep in mind because Mega Metagross does have a hard time dealing with some of them. So now for some team options to run with Mega Metagross. Now, of course, we recently got introduced to Volcanion, and Volcanion is a really good partner for Mega Metagross because Mega Metagross struggles with mons like Skarmory and Slowbro. Volcanion being able to OHKO Skarmory with a Fire Blast and even a resisted Steam Eruption does a lot of damage to Slowbro, and of course Mega Metagross doesn't like switching into Scald because of that burn chance. You now have a perfect switch into Scald with Volcanion. Gengar as well because it can handle the bulky psychic types like the Lottie Twins. Ferrothorn because it allows you to Hazard Sack, you know, your Stealth Rocks, your Spikes, which really does help Mega Metagross in the long run, picking up that residual damage and guaranteeing Mega Metagross some OHKOs or 2-hit KOs that might not have done otherwise, so it's really crucial to keep that in mind. Raikou because it's a good Volt Switch pivot and can handle mons again like Mega Slowbro. Tornadus is always a good mon to have on your team and immune to the Earthquake, which Mega Metagross is weak to, and Hydreigon, which in my opinion is the perfect partner for Mega Metagross. So let me break this down. Mega Metagross is weak to Fire, Fire, Ground, Dark, and Ghost. Hydreigon is resistant to 3 of those, being Dark, Ghost, and Fire, and immune to Ground type, so they have a perfect synergy offensively. Not to mention that Mega Metagross is resistant to Fairy and Dragon, which Hydreigon is weak to, so in my opinion this is a no-brainer. You should always pair them together and they work really well. Of course, for the last one you can choose from Rotom. Rotom's always a good slow, bulky Volt Switch pivot, and it can Thunder Wave and Will-O-Wisp your opponents, which allows Mega Metagross to set up even further from there and sweep through their team. And that's my guide on Mega Metagross, guys. I hope you enjoyed watching. Hopefully you found some interesting sets. I know some of them were gimmicky, but that's the fun, you know. I really like coming up with the creative sets. It can really catch your opponents off guard, and they still really can put in the work, like the refresh not that gimmicky, but the Gravity, Dynamicpunch. Say what you will, of course it's not going to be perfect in every situation, but it can come in clutch and it makes for a good story, right? Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed watching. Above all, I hope you're having a good day. MegaLugia here, checking out. Peace!